So this is my fiance here, Katie. We got engaged back in December, and we're getting married at the end of May. We've been dating since high school, my junior year of high school, so we've been together 3 or 4 years now. Yeah. They told me to give an introduction of ourselves, and so, oh yeah, where we're from. She's wonderful help there. Yeah. So we're originally from Blackwell, which is a small town in the middle of nowhere between Abilene and San Angelo, if you know where Abilene and San Angelo is. And then we went off to college. She's a year older than me, so she went first, but we ended up down in San Marcos, Texas, between Austin and San Antonio. And that's where we currently are from right now. Oh, we're with University Church of Christ down there, and they have a college group. We have the McCarty Student Center, so we have a college age group, and she's president, and I'm vice president of that organization. And so we do a lot through the McCarty Student Center. Over our spring break, we're able to go on mission trips. We go to Jamaica. That's exciting. Anything else, darling? Okay. So when I was thinking and trying to figure out a topic that I was going to teach about, my first instinct was, well, I'm going to teach about something I know a lot about. I'm not going to learn anything new, just something I've already learned. Go ahead and just teach that, something I feel comfortable about. And after thinking about it more and praying on it, I decided I better learn something that I don't really know much about. So I decided to pick wisdom as my topic. So, wisdom. I would like you to follow me on this journey I took. Wisdom is something that every young person like myself strives for. So I started this journey to uncover wisdom. But I quickly found out that wisdom is not just placed at your feet. It's much more than that. So when I started this journey on wisdom, I first asked myself, well, what am I really looking for here? So I started looking for definitions, and what's some definitions of wisdom that you have to share? If anyone has advanced learning? Yeah, anybody else? Knowledge? Yeah? There you go, that's a good one. Application of what you learn, yeah. Intelligence? Yeah, great. So I looked it up. Oxford told me that the wisdom is the ability to make a sensible decision and give good advice because of the experience and knowledge that you have. So doing something with what you have. You know, that's wisdom. Then I got to think about it more. Well, really, what's knowledge? What's a good definition of knowledge, anybody? Facts? Yeah? There's a lot of educated, smart people, but they don't have wisdom. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so we know wisdom and knowledge they're separate. So I looked up knowledge. Oxford told me that knowledge is the information, understanding, and skills that you gain through education or experience. So knowledge is the understanding of information that you have gained. And when you apply the knowledge you have, that's wisdom. So in this search of wisdom, I asked myself 3 questions when I started out. First, I wanted to know, what is the most important type of wisdom? Then I asked, well, where does wisdom come from? And then thirdly, I asked myself, well, how can I gain wisdom? These were the 3 questions I started out on, and I wanted to stay true to these 3 questions. So we're going to start with the first one. So what's the most important type of wisdom? When you think of wisdom, what's the most valuable wisdom that you can think of? Yeah, wisdom from God. Any other kind of wisdom that you can think of? Common sense. It's not so common, is it? Yeah. Any other? Yeah, emotional. So I asked myself, I said, is it Is it the ability to use or gain money? Is it the wisdom of test taking? As a student, I take lots of tests. Actually, when we get back, we're leaving here Monday. When we get back on Monday. Tuesday morning, I have my last final at Texas State, so that's exciting. So is it the wisdom of test taking? Or is it the wisdom of knowing when it's going to rain? You know, it's supposed to rain here in a couple days. Is it the wisdom of knowing when it's going to rain? So, armed with my questions and the understanding of wisdom and knowledge I had, I was fastly directed towards the Bible. So I rolled up my sleeves, and I grabbed my walking stick, and I started off. So first, we're going to look at what's the most important type of wisdom. Can someone read for me Proverbs 16:16? Okay, so this tells me that wisdom is much more valuable than earthly riches, like money. So it can't be the use of money or how to gain money. It can't be that. We're told that there. What about 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 19? Can someone read that for me? 1 Corinthians 1:19. Okay. So we can draw a conclusion there that earthly smartness, like my test taking, for instance, is nothing compared to this other kind of wisdom, God's wisdom. So we know that there. It's a good place. I started on my journey of God's wisdom. So when it's starting to become clear to me. Okay, Matthew 16, verses 2 through 3. Matthew 16, verses 2 through 3. Okay. So we can draw the conclusion from this verse that weather prediction is not wisdom, it's observation. And I should have known from the start when I asked myself this question, because I never once in my life have ever heard someone call a weatherman wise. So, it can't be that. After these three, I discovered that true wisdom is recognizing God's work and timing. So it was made clear that it must be God's wisdom that I am in search of. So, moving on to my second question that I asked myself, where does this wisdom come from? And I asked myself this question before I realized that it was God's wisdom I was after. So, where does wisdom come from? What's a source of wisdom? If I asked you, give me some wisdom, what would you point me towards? The Bible. You're off. Yeah? Excellent. You're off to a better start than I was. I asked myself, was it scholars like Aristotle, Plato, Socrates? It's not.
Wisdom isn't hidden. She's standing at the head of the horn. She's everywhere you look, if you're paying attention.
Exactly.
Don Nelson says you just pray for wisdom and you'll get it. In my experience, it's been becomes harder than that.
We're going to get to it. So So like I said, I asked myself, where does wisdom come from? And we know it's from the Bible. It's from God. There's two verses I want us to look at. Someone could read for us Proverbs 2, verse 6.
For the Lord gives wisdom, and from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding.
Okay. And Job 12, verse 13.
With God are wisdom and knowledge. He has counsel and understanding.
Yeah, so with these two verses, wisdom is not just found, but it's directly from God, through his word. So we know that God is the source of wisdom. It took me a long time to truly understand this on this journey of just looking for wisdom. And then my third question I asked myself was, how do we gain this wisdom? Is it by taking a philosophy class? Is it working for an older farmer? Or is it asking your friends? Is that how we gain wisdom? Could be if they're smart. Yeah.
That can be if they're dumb too, because if you sit back and watch a dumb person, you can see, oh, well, that wasn't smart, that wasn't wise.
Yeah.
I had an experience with wisdom yesterday.
Yeah.
I know how to climb a ladder. The more you get set good. Yesterday I was climbing the 200-pound extension ladder and it was extended all the way, and I'm 240 pounds long right here, and I get up the middle of it and it's shaking. I'm thinking, maybe this wasn't so wise.
And it's through experience that you figured that out.
Well, no, it's from the shaking back and forth.
It says understanding, wisdom is the aging man, and with long life is understanding what you study, understand what you learn, understand the principles.
Yeah. Yeah, you can read something and read it and not understand it. I've learned that one out many a times.
Solomon asked God for wisdom. I mean, he had everything in the world,
Yeah.
everything. And our friends are going to think he's too wise in some of his decisions.
Yeah. That's a great point. He asked God for wisdom. Out of everything, he asked for wisdom. It shows how valuable it is. Like we previously talked about it. It's much more valuable than earthly riches.
We also have to be receptive.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about wisdom enough to pray for it, you're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, if you're not paying attention, it's hard to receive that wisdom. If you weren't paying attention on that ladder, you would have just thought, it's
Knowledge is how to set the ladder. That's what gives you to set a ladder and it's solid on the ground and jerk, and that's when you fall off. Yeah, wisdom's when you know the time. When you get to be over a certain age, you shouldn't be time.
So the third question I asked myself, how do we gain this wisdom? And I realized this was the most important question I had asked myself, and I had ranked it third on my list. That just shows you how wise I am. So this first led me to the book of Job. And Job showed me that wisdom involves trusting God's goodness without always understanding. Then the Proverbs, where I learned that wisdom is skillfully living under God's rule. And then Ecclesiastics. This provided me with the knowledge that wisdom is valuable, but will not always provide an understanding. So in my journey for an answer, after much wondering, I came out of the wilderness of these passages and into a clearing. So this is where I want to spend most of our time, in this clearing, in James. So turn with me to James chapter 1, and we're going to look at verses 2 through 8. So to talk a little bit about when I was searching for wisdom, I was directed towards Job and Proverbs and Ecclesiastics. What are some other books that come to mind when you think of wisdom? Are there any other passages or books entirely that you think of wisdom? Yeah. Do you think of James when you think of wisdom? Right off the bat, you think James? Pretty wise. I did not think of James when I thought of wisdom. I thought of Job first. And there's a lot in Job. And I spent a lot of time wandering through Job, looking for all these answers. I didn't quite find everything I was looking for. Then I went to Proverbs. I love Proverbs. It's a wonderful read. And I didn't quite find everything I was looking for, but we got closer. Then Ecclesiastics. I don't really remember much about that. But I didn't find everything I was looking for. So James 1, verses 2 through 8. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting. For he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. So, why are we told to count it in all joys when we fall in various trials? It's a kind of an odd statement. For our learning. Yeah.
In other words, I, like most people, learn things the hard way.
Yeah. So let's think about who wrote James. Anyone? James? There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure he went through various trials. And he came out. So it's that wisdom in that statement that, you can see something that's going to happen and know you're going to come out good and count it all joyfully. Yeah. Yeah. I know we're going through various trials right now, not between us, but together. And, there's a lot going on. Where she's graduating on Thursday. She's graduating college on Thursday, double major. I'm leaving with my associates. I'm not as wise and knowledgeable as she is. But graduating on Thursday, and then we're getting married on the 29th, that on a Thursday also. 3 weeks. 3 weeks between graduation and when we get married. And then we're going to go on our honeymoon for the weekend. And then I have an internship with the Salina Church of Christ in Kansas. And so we're going to go up there. We have a week to get everything moved up there and start our internship. And then August 1st, we have to be in Denver. So there's lots of trials involved in that. So hopefully through these trials we can gain experience and how we can use that experience. So, verse 3, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. So we know that these trials produce patience. So let patience have its perfect work, and you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Isn't that just wonderful? If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God. It's that simple. That was part of the question I was asking myself. Just ask God. I know someone over here started on that pretty early in this, and that shows a great amount of wisdom. So let him ask God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it is given to him. So when we ask God, how should we ask God for wisdom? Any ideas of how we should go about asking?
Humility, humble,
Yeah.
on our knees,
Yeah.
realize that he's superior, that he's the one that gives us our strength and guidance too.
And you know that we need to have faith in him that he will do it also. Because that was the
Mm-hmm. So I came to the conclusion that we need to ask with boldness. We need to be direct with him. We need to know what we're asking for. In verse 6, but let us ask in faith with no doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. What does that mean? A wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. Can you imagine that? What?
Doesn't have any control over what the direction is.
Yeah, no control.
Continually moving.
Yeah, not set in one place. Yeah. So you need to know what you're asking for with that boldness. So we know we have to ask God with boldness. What happens when we ask God for wisdom? Does he just give us wisdom?
maybe we're asking for trials.
Yeah, we're asking for trials. That's exactly right. He's going to send us a trial. This might be something great. This might be something small, but still a trial. What are some trials that you can think of that could lead us to wisdom? Is there any moments that I'm asking as a young man searching for wisdom on this?
Kidney stones.
Kidney stones. I don't know if I'm going to pray for that or not.
The advantage of kidney stones, and those of us who had kidney stones will probably agree, the wisdom of kidney stones is that you learn more about compassion for others.
Yeah. I could see that.
You know better what to say and not to say.
This too shall pass.
You will.
Some good wisdom there. I'm glad I asked, not. Yeah. Are there any other trials that come to mind that could lead us to wisdom? Financial? Yeah.
Climbing ladders too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
There are a lot of different things in life. My wife and I weren't supposed to be able to have kids. And that was a big heartache in our life. And it was surprising how many people were kind of callous about the whole thing. And so, again, having compassion for the people around you, I think is probably one of the greatest wisdoms that you can have.
Getting married?
You'll find out. You want to learn what's being passionate. Well, some people don't learn that.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yeah.
He's speaking from wisdom.
I just can't bring myself to learn.
Yeah.
Trials. Really thanks, brother.
Having children is one of God's greatest blessings, but it also brings costs.
Yeah.
That really impresses one home.
Now I'm gonna call you out as a student that's also in the boat. What's some trials preparing for Bear Valley that perhaps y'all have gone through or see coming or?
You are going to be doing more homework than you thought possible.
Yeah, that's what I've been told.
If you think college doesn't have a lot of homework, you got nothing on Bear Valley.
Yeah.
For us, we have a lot of accumulation over the years because we're going into it at a different perspective and realizing your attachment to the materialistic things that you said that you never had before because of the memories that attached to it. When you got to get rid of all of that
Yeah.
and knowing that you're going through all those times before saying, well, I'm not attached to that, it's not because I'll be rid of it every time. When that time comes, turning loose of that. Because it's hard because you attach your memories to those things.
Well, luckily for us, not being married before going into school, we don't really own that much. We have some coffee tables and some important coffee tables, evidently. Oh.
No, being a farmer in Texas, just in Texas, you learn to be humble. Because you deal with adversity all the time and failure. Now, if you're a farmer in the middle of Illinois, you just go out there and plant a little corn. It makes 300 bushels of acre no matter what you do. But in
Yeah.
Texas, you'll find that they're, not all of them being unhumble like you. But the people from the panhandle are generally really good people. They're humble, they're friendly, because they know what adversity is.
Yeah. I know I've tried my hand at being a farmer, and I just don't have the patience to work on stuff all the time. So that's out in between Abilene and San Angelo, West Texas. We don't have the water y'all have in the ground, and so it's just cotton and wheat for us back home. And going in the college and taking some ag classes that I've taken, I came back home and I thought I was full of wisdom, and I was ready to share some wise, great new knowledge to some old farmers. And I told them, well, why don't y'all do it this way? Why don't y'all plant, for instance, a cover crop? That's a great thing. Is that something y'all do around here, cover crops?
No, you start out with no moisture in the ground.
Exactly. See, that's not something I thought of. I thought, man, cover crop, that's a great thing. That's a great idea. And that's exactly what I got told. Don't have the moisture to handle it. So I went back to my professor and I said, well, I tried to teach others what you taught me in this classroom.
What student middle Illinois?
Yeah. And he said, well, I didn't mean around here. I said, what do you mean you didn't mean around here? So that was a moment of wisdom. That was that trial I went through. Wasn't really that great of a trial, but it was a learning experience, and I was able to use that knowledge. So now I know how to tell a farmer how to farm, not around here.
Well, I'll tell you how to do your patience. Don't get mad, use a cut torch.
Yeah, yeah.
You might go down one of those, I'm sorry.
I'm guessing you're gonna end up in James 3:13, probably you're in it anyway, so I don't wanna put you ahead of where you belong.
Go ahead.
Well,
You want to go ahead and read that, if you don't mind?
Who among you is wise, talking about wisdom and understanding? Let him show by his good behavior, his deeds, and in gentleness of wisdom. But if you have wisdom, now this doesn't sound like it goes with it for a minute, but it goes right back to it. It starts off with wisdom and it ends up with wisdom. But if any of you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, do not be arrogant and so lie against the truth. This wisdom is not that comes down from above, but earthly, natural, and demonic. For where there's jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there's that disorder and every evil thing. That sounds like it's not, but then it comes right back to it. For the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, responsible, full of mercy and good fruit, unwavering, without hypocrisy. And the seed whose fruit is sown in righteousness is sown in peace by those who make it.
Yeah, that tells us a lot about wisdom right there. And it would have saved me a lot of time if I would have found that passage before I asked myself all these questions. But then I wouldn't be able to share to all of you what I know about wisdom. I kind of feel like that's about like me sharing to the farmers what I know about farming. But
It kind of makes you think the difference in the wisdom of the world, and there is a wisdom of the world, but the wisdom of the world and the wisdom of God, how much different that is in man's view.
yeah, there's a big difference. For college, we have to take a philosophy class. There's no way of getting around it. You have to. And I learned a lot of knowledge from that class, but not very much wisdom out of the whole thing.
Which is ironic because that's a Greek combination of two Greek words, philo, which means love, and Sophia is wisdom, love of wisdom.
Okay.
And, you should be learning to love of wisdom, but that's not necessarily what they're looking for, is it?
Yeah. That's some wisdom I just gained there. A little Greek there. I was asking our campus minister about wisdom, and he asked me, so what's your plans on teaching this class? He said, are you going to get into the Greek of all things and explain the Greek? And I said, no, I don't know any Greek. And he said, well, I can teach you a little Greek. I know a little Greek. And I was like, I don't think it's going to transfer. So I used my wisdom there to not teach y'all about Greek, because I don't know enough to teach anybody about Greek. But I'm glad that I came here and I was able to learn some Greek.
And I threw you under the bus.
Can you go back to where we started in verse 1 and verse 2? Keep reading back to when you asked, when you know that the testing count it all joy when you meet trials of various kinds. You know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. You, I think, have to have a mindset that I am going to accept those trials in order to learn that, because trials can do one of two things. They can either make you closer to God or they can separate you from Him.
And that's wisdom speaking there. You have to be able to accept those trials. Sometimes we have difficult trials, and they're harder to accept, but you have to be able to grow from that experience and to apply what your knowledge from that experience to truly have wisdom.
Trial or you can get a lot of wisdom. In my opinion, the past 8 years with working with the youth.
Yeah.
My first couple of years of my career, I thought I was young
Yeah, that brings to mind Ecclesiastes 8, verse 1. Who is like a wise man? Who knows the interpretations of a thing? A man's wisdom makes his face shine, and the sternness of his face is changed. So in that instance, it was your face shining in the way that you said, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, sir, yes, sir. And they seen that. Saw that. I'm sorry, I was corrected.
Well, I, Fred Bosley in Florida, I was teaching a class, much as you are, and he wasn't getting a concept. So we went over it repeatedly. Finally, he got it. And one of the greatest joys in life is seeing him, the moment that he understood the wisdom of the Scripture,
Yeah.
the smile that came over his face was second to none. That's something that brings me joy in wisdom.
Yeah, that's a joyful sight to see someone understand something. The mission work we do in Jamaica through the McCarty Student Center, the college age group, I've been able to go twice. She's been 3 times now. The first time we went, it was a group of 12, and we went to Monique, which is up in the mountain area, pretty far from any touristy stuff. And then this past year that we went, 24 of us went, and we were in Runaway Bay, St. Anne's Bay. We stayed in Runaway Bay, and right there along the ocean. And anyways, wonderful experience, but something that after that first year of going there, something that really pushed me to want to go to the Bear Valley and to grow in this knowledge and to be a preacher, to preach the word to more people, was seeing that first Bible study I had with someone and seeing them understand the importance and gravity of what I was sharing with them. I got 5 more minutes? Okay. 5 more minutes. And so that was a wonderful experience I had, was seeing that. And every year we come back from Jamaica, I feel wiser from the experience we have. Are there any questions overall about anything?
I think the most important learning, the James scripture that you read, is 3 or 4, where it says, it's talking about being mature and complete, lacking in nothing. The word is allow or let in your questions to yourself. I think that's the most important thing in the pursuit of wisdom that we can do, is allow.
Yeah.
Or let, because God's wisdom is wanting to work with us, but it requires us to let or allow. And if we can't do that, then we're never going to be able to accomplish or gain the wisdom that God wants us to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a parallel to that is in 2 Timothy 3:16 and 17, talking about scripture being inspired by God. And it says that the man of God may be complete, equipped for every good work,
Yeah.
which is an interesting parallel to in James talking about being complete and being perfect, showing that wisdom comes from perfect.
Yeah. That's a Jamaican Bible verse, by the way. 2 Timothy. But yeah, so what's the most important type of wisdom? God's wisdom. So you did learn. Good, good. So where does this wisdom come from? God. And how do we gain wisdom? Ask. Yeah, and when we ask for wisdom, what should we expect? Trials. And through those trials, we gain experience, and it's that use of that experience and knowledge that we have wisdom. Yeah. So anytime that we can take steps to having a closer and more intimate relationship with God, it brightens our lives and makes a visible difference in our appearance and in our presence. And it's through that outside of this building that we can share our wisdom with others. And if we're sharing the right kind of wisdom that comes from God, we can point them to God. So that's a wonderful thought I had once I discovered where wisdom comes from. I thought, how can I direct more people to God through the wisdom I learned? So this teaching this class has been a wonderful moment of wisdom for me, being able to grow in a topic I didn't really know much about, truthfully. And I hope you came out of this class with something. I know I have. You have taught me a lot about wisdom. Thank you.